Hi, this is Asaf Shaykevich from Weaversoft.io. Today I'm showcasing Snap, an open source container checkpointing and automation platform. Let me show you how to start up your own Snap copy and connect to your cluster, start implementing checkpoint and restoration for your live production containers. In the Snap management, you can do add cluster, input the cluster name, and then you can copy paste your API URL. You can use the getup setup command to quickly get an access token for your permanent API access to the Kubernetes cluster. Just paste the token here. You can select your selected registry. This will come later in hand. I will explain what is a cluster cache and how it's utilizing for the automation of checkpoint and restoration. Once I added the cluster, I can select the cluster from the drop-down list. Switch to my cluster. The cluster management section will show you the overall pods in your cluster, the overall checkpointed containers in the checkpoint store on the left. The configuration section to edit the cluster config cache. Cluster config cache is basically a Docker registry that Snap uses to push all your container checkpoints, meaning this container registry is basically a cluster configured cache. For this purpose, we're using Nexus as a demonstration, but you can use whatever container registry you have in hand. You can edit the cluster configuration if you got a new token or you want to change any kind of access parameter. In the registry section, you can add more container registries if you would like to split your registries into multiple cached registries. You can configure that. Currently, we're using a central registry in the format of Nexus. Going into the pod section, we can orchestrate a checkpoint by selecting a desired pod from our existing cluster, and then we can click the create checkpoint to orchestrate the checkpoint. Checkpoint is now orchestrated in the cluster. The entire memory and process state are being dumped into a file system and then being converted into a checkpoint in the registry. Once the checkpoint is completed, I can go to the checkpoint section. I can review all the checkpoints I collected, and then I can perform two actions. One of them is to analyze the checkpoint. So let's say we take the last checkpoint deployment, we can do analyze. In that checkpoint analysis, you can look at some metadata and relevant interesting statistics regarding to the application tree and process tree existing in memory, some environment variables that existed, file descriptors, meaning open files within the containers, mount point existing within the container. If you would like to load this screen again, you can click on the show details once more. This, of course, is downloadable. You can export the results, or you can copy all the data for your analysis and safekeeping. We can do upload checkpoint. This process takes the checkpoint information, executes it into a tar, from a tar into a container image, and pushes it to the Nexus. So I execute the container conversion. Now then, when I go to my checkpoint store, I can log in to the registry. I can look at my checkpoints, and I can see that I have a deployment of a demo deployment test, which is my live container that was checkpointed at this date. So now I can take this checkpoint and I can utilize this checkpoint to start a container from the existing preserved state of the checkpoint. For that purpose, I can go into my deployment and replace my configuration, manually modifying the image from the existing image busybox table to the registry selected. I will use the registry port on the Nexus, and this is my checkpointed image in runtime. Saving and apply. And the new container is up and live. We can already inspect the logs of the container to see that there are history of logs pre-existing to the snapshot, which means the container was restored successfully by the underlying container infrastructure, causing the process to be replaced into the same position it was from the checkpointed state. Utilizing Snap, you can shorten down startup time for your containers, or you can do live migration of pods within Kubernetes clusters. We're very excited to ship this new feature and this new product into the market, and we're looking for adopters and new users and community feedback. Thank you. I'm Asaf Shekevich from Movisoft.